The stranger. The darkest night of Thomas Gray's life was colder than any winter he'd ever known. As he walked through the desolate streets, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was utterly and miserably alone. His business had collapsed. His wife left him, his finances in bankruptcy, and his friends abandoned him, since he could not live the luxurious lifestyle he once had. With nothing left to his name or in his bank account, and no home to call his own, he wandered the city all night, aimlessly, seeing the world around him progressing and on its merry way while his world was stuck. He walked until his feet became numb, his heart hollow. He wondered if he would ever find meaning again. As he reached the edge of an empty park, a figure stepped out from the shadows. A tall man in a gray trench coat, his face hidden in the darkness, yet his eyes gleaming like embers.
"Rough night, Thomas."
Startled, Thomas looked up. The stranger's voice held an eerie calm, as if he knew Thomas's every thought, his every sorrow. There was something unsettlingly familiar about him, as though he'd always been there, watching from a distance.
Who are you?"
The man smiled, stepping into the pale light of a nearby street lamp. His face was handsome but sharp, with eyes that glinted like polished glass.
"I am a friend, or, if you prefer, a benefactor. I help those who are suffering, those at the end of their rope."
Thomas frowned, suspicion creeping into his weary heart.
"And what kind of help do you offer?"
The man smiled wider, revealing teeth that were just a bit too sharp.
"I can give you everything you've lost, Thomas. Wealth, respect, love, all the things that were taken from you, all the things you deserve."
At first, Thomas felt a flicker of hope. He could picture it, his life restored, his losses reversed, his name spoken with admiration instead of pity. But then he noticed the coldness in the stranger's eyes, and a chill ran through him.
"What's the price?"
The man's smile widened.
A smart question, and an honest one. The price, Thomas, is a very simple one, just something precious you don't need: your soul.
Thomas shivered, pulling his coat tight around him. He had always thought of his soul as an abstract thing, something he would deal with at the end of his life, not now, not here in the freezing dark. But here he was, face to face with a choice he never thought he'd have to make.
This sounds sort of...
Think about it, Thomas. All your suffering could end. The loneliness, the poverty, the heartache. I could take it all away.
His hand extended, open, inviting.
All you have to do is say yes.
Thomas looked at the hand, at the empty park around him. His life felt like a barren wasteland, a dead-end street where hope had long since vanished. He closed his eyes, imagining the relief, the joy of starting over without the weight of his failures pressing down on him. It was tempting, so tempting it nearly choked him. But as he stood there, another thought came to him. He had fought for so long, had endured so much, and despite it all, he was still here. Broken maybe, but still alive. And he felt a spark, small but fierce, reminding him that his suffering had made him who he was. Opening his eyes, Thomas took a deep breath and stepped back, shaking his head.
"No,"
he said, his voice stronger than he expected. The man's smile faded, replaced with an expression of cold displeasure.
No.
His voice echoed as though he couldn't believe it.
Why struggle, Thomas? Why bear the weight of this miserable life when you could have everything you desire?
Thomas stood taller, feeling a strange clarity.
"Because my life, my soul is mine. I might be broken, but I am not yours to fix. I'll find my own way out of this."
The man's eyes turned dark, his gaze hardening.
"You'll regret this, Thomas."
He hissed, his voice no longer smooth but sharp and venomous.
"I'll be waiting for you when you change your mind, and you will."
"My mind is already made up."
With that, the figure vanished into the night, leaving only the bitter cold behind. Alone once more, Thomas let out a long breath, feeling the weight of his choice settle over him. He was still in the same mess, with no magical fix, no sudden salvation, but he felt different, stronger somehow. For the first time in a long time, he felt a glimmer of hope. a hope he had fought for, a hope he had earned. And as he walked away from the empty park, Thomas knew that no matter how dark his path might become, he would never again surrender the light within him.